Hey guys, I was just messing around in Equator with my nice Seaboard Rise 49, I think, and I came up with this little technique that I thought you might like. So the idea is to modulate the tuning of two oscillators that are set up to modulate oscillator 3 using FM. And I'm basically using two gestures. I'm using slide and I'm using pressure. So if we go over to the modulation list right here, we can see that these are all the defaults, but then here slide is set up to control the oscillator fine pitch 1 by an amount of 50, which is not 50 cents I found, but just a percentage. And then the other oscillator is being modulated with a negative direction. And then we have the pressure here set up to FM depth A and FM depth B. So the oscillators themselves, 1 and 2, are just playing sine waves right now, and these are not going to the output. Rather, they're both modulating oscillator 3, which is a triangle wave. So with that, we get this. So it's a more sort of aggressive sound, and if I sort of slide up a key, we change the fine tuning, and the fine tuning, because it's so far detuned, it's like a quarter semitone detuned. Because of that, we get this wobble, which we call beating. And that is a very recognizable sound with FM synthesis, and the effect of that is like it's caused by two oscillators running at a different speed, running at a slightly different frequency. We get a beating effect. It's also what people use to tune their guitars. If there's no beating, you know that you're perfectly in tune, and if the sound is beating, which it sounds like sort of a wobble to us, but that means that something is detuned. But now, using our slide movement, we can alter the fine tuning. So take a look at those operators or oscillators fine tuning. So you can hear that the wobble sort of changes because we're changing the pitch by sliding up and down the key. And then I've set up aftertouch to control the depth, so the FM depth. So this is nice for bass sounds, but you should mainly focus on the technique. And to demonstrate that, what I could do is, if I go to the global page right now, I'm set up in mono legato, which is nice because I can make these nice bass slides. That kind of stuff. But if I set this up in a poly mode, you can actually make pretty nice chord movements with this as well. Maybe a little bit higher. My playing is still not really up to speed, but you can make some pretty nice ambient sounds, especially with if you use a little bit of a longer attack on your envelope, maybe a little bit more reverb. And I would also, in that case, I would dial down the FM amount a little bit. So in the modulation list right now, the pressure has an amount of 30. If you go maybe something like 22, it won't ever get into that very aggressive sort of where the tone gets very bright. It stays more mellow this way. Okay, so that is really it. Super simple. The only other things I did is I've set up the filter as a notch filter, and I modulate the cutoff there with this LFO, just a sine wave LFO. Random might be nicer. Something like a smooth random would be nice. And then let's see, there was one more thing I wanted to show you. which is, oh yeah, so from this point, let's set it back to mono legato, and let's set our reverb down a little bit. Also, I use the chorus, which pretty much the default settings. But a cool thing to right now experiment with is different waveforms. So these sine waves, they're going to be the most clean results and also more manageable results. But you could also go with something aggressive like a saw, and that might be really nice for the bass. Maybe an octave lower and less of a release. And in that case, I'm also going to set the amount back to, let's go even a little bit higher, like 35. That's pretty nice. And then you could experiment with the oscillator tuning as well. So you could set this to 7, which is fairly experimental, although not too bad. You hear that it gets more sort of a dissonant tone, or you could just set it an octave up or down even. You can also try a different waveform there. These are all very nice actually for FM synthesis, except the really busy ones, but this kind of stuff is really nice. And then you can do some more aggressive filter modulation, maybe a little bit faster. And you could also try some low pass modulation. Alright, so that should give you some stuff to play around with, and that was actually all I wanted to share today. Alright, thanks for watching, see you in a new video.